Hello, welcome to Paleo Greenbird. I'm Greenbird, and today's video is going to be a Flintknapping video. I apologize that I have not produced any videos recently. I am on day 4 of the flu. Lost my voice just recently, got it back earlier today, so I thought, why not get online, have some fun. Instead of being inside miserable and sick, why not be out here and be a little less miserable and sick. I had somebody ask me about flaking Rhyolite. I sent a kit out to Eli, and there was some Rhyolite in there. Not the best beginner material, but some of the stuff I had on hand. And the question was, how do I get this to run a flake? So, first of all, look how beautiful that material is. The reds and the greens, it's just a gorgeous material. But it is gnarly and it is stubborn and it's not easy to work. So, you know, the first thing, I tried to pick a piece, Eli, that looks similar to what you had sent me the picture of. That's not extremely flat, it's a little bit blocky. If there's Cortex on there, the first thing you want to do is try and get that Cortex out of there. But really, what I would do is, if you have a hammerstone, work it with a hammerstone. It'll work a lot better with a hammerstone than it will with copper. You can work it with bone. I don't really have a lot of large. I only have one antler billet, and it's kind of, I would say, the equivalent of a small, maybe a medium billet, but probably a small billet. But what I would suggest is the first thing you want to do, hammerstone, is trim this up. Get all the stuff off of there. It doesn't want to be there. Anything that has like a lip on it, you know, that's maybe like higher on one side than the other side, get rid of that. While you're doing that, you can look for what you see as platforms. I see a couple right here. And I would say if you're flat enough, you can try and zigzag the edges. This is more cube-like, so we're not going to be able to do that. And I picked a rock like that on purpose. I don't have a lot of Rhyolite left, but I tried to pick one that kind of mimicked the characteristics of the picture you sent me. Now, this is a flat edge. It's not really a true platform, but I'm still going to try and drive a little bit of a flake. I'm not going to go too deep because look how that lips up right there. You're not going to, unless you hit really high on the platform, it's not going to drive too far. And what I've learned with Rhyolite is that you're better off taking short flakes. See how that flake took it off, but it stepped right there? At least it's far enough to the outside where I can get it from the other end. If you go too aggressive, you'll step right in the middle, which I've done a lot with this stone, and it's just hard to recover from. Oh, I just did there. Terrible steps, but we're still thick. See all that chatter right there? Not a good strike. But we don't really have a good platform, so we're just kind of working with what we have. Just trying to even that out a little bit. Taking a flake if I can. Kind of downward strokes. Got some Cortex over here I need to remove. Really tough when it's just that flat edge because you don't really have a platform to work. There we go. Got some stepping. I'm going to switch over to copper for this next strike. It's a medium billet. There we go. See that nice flake that came off there? Look at that. So there's my platform right there. I had a little bit of an angle because this is tough rock. I'm hitting mostly down, not really so much in. A little bit in, but not as much as when I'm working with other stone where I can really get that kind of inward force and pluck it off. This is mostly down, especially since I have it at an angle like this. You really got to smack it hard because when you have it at that angle like that, you're driving straight into the stone. It's more of you're trying to get as close to an overflake as you can, otherwise you'll stall out. And that's what happened here. Is I got an overflake. If you look, there's my platform. Came all the way across the rock, thinned out this nasty spot right here. So that's a good strike. And that's using copper. That's not even using a hammerstone. So I'm going to keep turning my rock, do the same thing. What's the easiest thing I can get off? What's my best platform? What's going to help me in the long run? And I think what I see, I don't know if you agree or not, but I see a low spot right here. That's a platform. I see it following a short ridge, which means I don't really need a short flake in order to feather that out. And that gets rid of kind of a rough spot. Boy, this stone is so beautiful. Too bad it's such a bear to work. If I get some more of this, maybe I'll heat treat it, see if that helps. But I've been told, I don't know, I've been told different things by different people. Some people say heat treating helps, some people say heat does nothing for it. You just gotta do it yourself, because everybody has a different opinion, everybody has a different technique. Some things work for them that don't work for me, and vice versa. Now I don't want to get this middle part too thin. If anything, I want to thin the ends more. So even though it's tempting to take a flake right there, you need to take a look right here. I should probably take that first. And I'm still using that big bopper because this stuff is so gnarly and hard to work. I got a decent flake across there. It fell apart, so I didn't show you, but we're starting to flatten it out. Although we are getting a turtle on the top here. So Eli, I hope this helps you. I'm not gonna reduce this thing completely down to an arrow point. I just don't feel well enough to do that. But look for your low spots. If you're gonna work a flat spot like this, like a flat edge, that's okay. You can do that, but just be aware that you really run the risk of getting a huge, huge hinge. So if you do decide to do that, I would say hit a little bit lower on your platform with a lot of follow through, so that it feathers out. It might not feather out as far as you want it to go, but that's better than getting a hinge, because when this stuff hinges, man, oh man, these hinges are just hard to work out. This is not a friendly rock. It's gorgeous though, it's beautiful. Kind of keep an eye on, you know, like this, look at this center line, if you can call it a center line. See how it kind of waves this direction? You want to keep that in mind too when you're working the stone, otherwise you'll snap it. It's tempting to take like a platform right here because it is so low and it follows a groove, but you know, perhaps I should work on this edge and this flat side a little bit before I try and do that. Because once I take some of these platforms and thin this out, then I've got this thick side, these two thick sides, and you know, I run a greater risk of you know, breaking, you know, snapping an end shock and things of that nature. So there's a little bit with copper. Let's break on a hammerstone, although I don't really have a good platform. I need to make one. Maybe I'll take this. Also with this rock, Eli, sometimes it's good to isolate your platforms. You know I hate isolating platforms because I'm lazy. But sometimes you have to. I just drop down to a smaller billet because I'm not looking to drive flakes. I'm isolating, and I'm using that medium-sized billet. Normal piece of stone like this, I would use this. I would not use that medium billet, but because this stone is so stubborn, that larger billet really makes a difference. Isolate this. Platform right there. I feel like I'm not zoomed in enough, but hopefully you can see this. Follows that ridge. There's the ridge. There's the platform. I'm going to grind it off. And as I'm grinding, I might try and isolate a little bit. Just grinding from one side to another. I just need this to feather. I don't need it to run a long ways. I just need it to feather. Take my hammer hammerstone. We're gonna use a hammerstone on this one. We're gonna be kind of all over the place on this. There we go. Wasn't a huge flake, but it didn't hinge. And we're shrinking the rock. Okay. Now as far as these flat edges, you could zigzag, you could hit this right here if you wanted to. Okay, took that flake off. It sort of gave me another platform right there. See that low spot? I can easily turn that into a platform. Yep. So now I have a platform that I can run all the way across there. I can just zigzag back and forth. Or if I wanted to, maybe I take a thick spot here, being that there's a little bit of a slope. Maybe I come in on it and try and drive a flake this way. Now, just again, be cautious because you do run a high risk of hinging. Excuse me, I lost my voice broke there. I still just not 100%. In fact, I'm not even probably 80%. But I'm having fun. If you're going to be sick, you might as well still have fun. So I'm still looking at this rock, making sure I don't want to thin one spot out too much, even though it could be tempting. So maybe up here at the tip where it's a little bit thicker, maybe we grind that off a little bit, maybe we isolate it a little bit with our grinder. That's a flat edge. That's not a platform at all. That's just a flat edge. So you have to think about how that's going to affect the travel of the flake. You don't have the advantage of having that platform. So you either need to take this real shallow so it feathers out, or if you hit it high on the platform, you got to hit it like you hate it. So it goes all the way. You either need an overflake on this to really drive it across, or just a small feathering flake. And I think on this one, let's see if we can get something all the way across. We'll see what happens. I'm trying to find a good spot on my hammerstone here. There we go. Oh, I broke the tip off. That's alright. No, we thinned it alright. Still got a good chunk here. I can't do much with that because I'm too impatient, but I'll send that to Dave Tembears. He'll make a beautiful point out of it. Probably sell it. But look what it did though. It did actually thin that tip out. It did us a little bit of good. We have another flat edge right here that we can drive, maybe a little less aggressively. That could either start a zigzag or, you know, whatever. Maybe I'll go back to copper, Eli, because I know that you have copper. So I'll go back to my medium-sized billet. This is the 1-inch billet, so this is the larger of the two that I sent you. And I'm going to hit it kind of like right here. Not low on the platform, but not super high. Just kind of like, I guess I want the copper ridge to hit right where the high spot here and the high spot here where it's sort of isolated. That's where I want it to hit. And I'm going to hit it down and in. Not just straight down. I got to go down and in because this is a flat edge. I don't have a platform. So I have to drive this in. If I don't, it's going to hinge. It didn't hinge. It gave me a nice flake, but it was a much thinner flake than I wanted. But that's okay because I still have this platform here because I kind of missed the platform. So there it is. Let's grind it again. I'm not going to make this a long video. We're not going to finish this, but I hope that this helps you a little bit. And I'm going to actually drop down to a smaller billet, even though this is tough, gnarly stuff, because, well, actually, see, look, I got a pocket there. There's got a good ridge right there, but look, right here, there's like a steppy kind of fracturing part. There's a good chance that when that flake drives into that junky area right there, that it's going to stall. It's going to take all the energy right out of the flake that I'm sending. So I need to hit this with a purpose. that heavier billet that Trey McCord made me. This is basically solid lead. It's only a 3/4 inch tip, but this thing is heavier than my 1.5 inch billet. He puts the copper top on, fills it all full of lead, pushes a stick in there to kind of spread the lead out, but make a little hollow in there. Yeah, he's on my page, Trey McCord. Look him up. He doesn't have a ton of videos right now because he's been busy, but he's got some good stuff, and he'll make you a good billet. Oop, that wasn't good. I messed it all together. Not as easy to talk and nap as it sounds, is it? I'm full of all kinds of excuses. I'm going to try it again. It's pretty junky. I don't know if I'm going to make it all the way across, but we're going to try it. I'm going to stop while I'm ahead. I only have a little tiny hinge, but I know that with this stone, hinges only get worse. Only get worse. So what I'd rather do is just work around it, get back to it when the stone is a little bit thinner. So I'll take the platform that's right next to it, where there's another ridge. It is kind of a hump there, so it's good to, it will flatten it. Take my medium bopper again. Oh, so got a decent flake, but I did get a hinge. Man, this stuff is so hingy. So you can drive a flake, Eli, but boy is it hingy. Maybe it's because I'm hitting at a bad angle. I haven't worked this stone in a while. I'm not making excuses. I'm just, saying that maybe I need more practice. And I tend to take, you know me on my videos, I tend to take kind of sometimes questionable platforms. And with tough rock, you really can't do that. You have to stick to the fundamentals. Otherwise, you pay the price. There we go. Just trying to clean that hinge up a little bit. See how I hit that kind of straight down? And now it's tempting to keep working this edge here, but I need to do something about this flat side. So what I find for me that works well, I could take this platform here, this low area here. This is completely flat, so we're not talking real platforms, we're talking pseudo platforms. Or I can come across this edge, come down and try and thin it, so that when I take these platforms across this end, it's a lot easier to take. Now, for me, looking at this rock, this is flat, completely flat, and this has at least a little bit of an angle, so I feel like maybe I'd be better taking this side. But because this rock is so stubborn, there's a really good possibility that this will hinge on me, causing problems here in the middle. Okay, so I have to remember I need to hit these platforms a little bit low so they feather out. I'm not trying to drive a super long flake, I'm just trying to thin it a little bit. So I'm going to stick with this lighter bopper, just because I'm not looking for such long flakes. Look for the thickest spot that I can. That's where I'm going to start. I'm going to try and hit a little bit low, in and down. There we go. This is the flake that I got. So here is the platform that I hit. Here is the flake that came off. Not super long, but at least I didn't hinge. I feathered. So with this rock, Eli, it's really important that you keep an eye on your angles. If if you've got a long piece, excuse me, my voice keeps breaking. Don't lean it too far down and hit in. Try and keep it a little bit flat. Hit in and down, but mostly down. It's better to take a shorter flake that feathers than a longer flake that hinges, because working the hinges out of this stone is a bear. It really is. So, hope this video wasn't boring. I'm sorry if you were expecting a finished point, but I'm going to go inside and make myself some tea. Maybe come out and make another video later. So please don't forget to share, like, subscribe, And most importantly, I hope you're having an awesome day, because this is Paleo Greenbird, and I am signing out. Oh, one more thing. Cameron Jones, if you haven't checked out his channel, check it out. Alright, later.